don't actually remember being interviewed before, so this is quite exciting.
I've never done an interview before, so I'm quite nervous. I'm nervous.
Great question. I usually start my seminar by asking people that, and I expect that there will be some confusion. It's really difficult to define. At its simplest, it is Japanese animation. And in Japan, if you speak about anime, you might be speaking about Pixar or DreamWorks or anything like that. In the West, it's viewed in a different way, and people tend to essentialize it, to see it as having certain aesthetic criteria. So people assume that anime always includes hair colors not found in nature, or enormous eyes, or chibi, or things like that. And in fact, it's much, much broader. There's stuff that's very realistic, there's stuff that's very abstract. There are things that mix these things, which I find really charming. Things like, was it Mirai Nikki? No, Furikuri, where they keep jumping between different graphic styles. There's such freedom in it, it's magnificent. So, it's difficult to define, I suppose. People then say anime is a genre, which it obviously isn't. There are so many subgenres within it, and very niche things, which I think is one of the ways where anime is leap years ahead of Western animation. So generally, for point of convenience, I tend to think of anime as just broadly Japanese animation, but then you also find crossover things and multinational productions and things that have been inspired by it. So
it's a series of drawings that's sort of been put together by some amazing artists with a storyline and a narrative, with characters that you learn to endear and some that you learn to hate. It's a story told through a different medium.
Miyazaki is magnificent partly because I think he is in some ways anachronistic. It's somewhat ironic that I know his work better than any other anime directors, because while he was trained in the shonen genre, he learned the more generic styles. He's also very different in things like his depiction of shoujo specifically. His gender depiction is magnificent, and it's different not only to mainstream anime, but to, I would say, worldwide film, not just animated film. He has this great approach to ethics and morality as well. The fact that his films, his narrative structures aren't based around the idea of there being good and evil as these separate concepts embodied in certain characters. He has a nuanced view of morality. He has sensitivity about these things. His films don't just revolve around having an evil villain who must be killed. That's not how conflict is resolved in his worlds, which I think is a very nuanced ethical outlook, and I think it's much more useful to teach children these kinds of lessons. Not that it's just for children, not at all, not at all. Visually, the fact that his voice is recognizable, that he ticks all the boxes of being an auteur. His films are very personal, especially if you look at something like Kazakachino. It is so obviously influenced by his own experiences. The fact that he's the director whose stuff really broke through into Western popularity, I think it speaks to the universalism of his themes and his depictions. Before that we'd seen Ghost in the Shell and Akira had reached some acclaim, but it was only when Lasseter brokered the deal, or it was the Pixar Ghibli deal, where they started distributing his films in the West, that more and more people became open to seeing anime as art, as something that's not just for, the Japanese audience or those weird Western kids, those of us who are obsessed with these things, not just for otaku. There's so much. There's so much. Visually, his work is magnificent. His partnership with Joe Hisaishi, who always does his scores, it's magnificent. The marriage between visuals and sound is glorious.
The one thing I've always enjoyed about anime are their musical scores. It's just like a completely different thing, but their musical scores coupled with their images tells the most amazing story, and I don't think most people realize that you could use drawings to really connect with people as much as this art form does.
There's a freedom in animation, whichever form of it we're talking about, whether it's live action or cell drawing, or it's also interesting that there are very relatively few directors who develop a recognizable style. because the anime industry has been so, how do you put it? It's an industry. It's production process, and you more often, I think recently it's been changing, but it's very much about production houses pumping out a certain number of things per year. So it's then interesting to notice, you know, the recognizable voices, the auteur voices that rise amongst that. And have you seen The Garden of Words?
Not yet.
That,
Sounds
something like
beautiful.
that goes way more into realism. It's there are these images where you see sunlight dappled through leaves. It's like it tends to focus on the beginning of rainfall, where you'd see a stone and then you see a little raindrop, another little raindrop, and then it becomes quicker and quicker, or grass in the wind. So there's a much more realistic movement, which is also anime. I want to live in an animated world. And
Top five.
Top 5. Excluding or including Hayao Miyazaki?